So I've been sharing with you all the joyous effort and the four powers that help to sustain and nourish it, mostly from my own personal experience. But since this past month that we've had with exploring monastic life and the ordination, I wanted to go through quickly the first two and then share the third and fourth power in context of what we did. And I wanted to keep Venerable suggestion in mind to keep floating and surfing on this wave of joy that we created in the past month. So that's what I wanted to do today as individuals and then as a community that take delight in virtue. So as far as I could see, I mean, the first power of aspiration is to cultivate the wisdom that understands what to abandon, what to cultivate, and ties that together with understanding at whatever level we can the functioning of karma. Basically getting wiser. If we want to experience certain results in our life, we have to understand what the causes are. To tie the mind to virtue. First, it's a very delicate thread, and as time goes on, we get a little wiser about our aspirations to create virtue, then it gets a little bit strong, it gets strengthened. And I found that, the sincere aspirations of the exploring monastic life participants, creating the virtue to explore your aspirations, to explore monastic life, and that it created the causes and conditions to be here, that you did a lot of work, and that there was a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of joy, a lot of willingness, and of course, adding the incentive of having two participants ordained after that. There was this whole sense of this whole idea about aspiring and having interest in creating virtue. I really felt for the past month that it was a very palpable feeling, except from my experience. I don't know about anybody else. So I really do want to sort of affirm and to witness that that was one of the powers that does sustain joyous effort that I felt I personally experienced as an individual in this community, and I got a sense collectively that we were getting a little bit wiser about how to know if we want to have the results of a monastic life, virtue, bodhicitta, awakening, that we have to understand what the causes are. And that it became very clear to me that what we do here at the Abbey, if we've got a good mind on it, the opportunities to create virtue are everywhere all the time. I forget about that because I get into cruise control around here. But because we were here with other folks who hadn't been here for a while or had not been here before, being able to connect with my own virtue, to model it at whatever way I could, really helped me to sustain my own joyous effort. The second one is that the power of that's called steadfastness. We complete what we set out to do. Well, I think the program was a huge success. And that with the help of everyone being totally on board, there was a lot of steady consistency on the part of everyone. We did what was being asked willingly, with joy. I didn't see a lot of griping. I didn't see a lot of kvetching. There was quite a bit of wholeheartedness, not a lot of this half-hearted attitude going into any of the program, and as far as the ordination, because it took so many parts and pieces. It really required a very focused, collaborative undertaking and event and sharing. And I think that got, the steadfastness from start to finish, I think was really very, very palpable. And of course, in my view, the steadfastness of knowing that the ordinations have been going on and what it took to get the translation, to get the first ordinations here, and the support of the Taiwanese bhikshunis, and just there's a bigger steadfastness that I have my own experience of, but even within the context of the time that we had, the preparation for the ordination, the rehearsals, and the ordination, the steadfastness and the consistency and the focus of everybody. I think this particular power is a self-confidence builder. I feel a lot more assured of what we're doing here. I love the ordination ceremonies. I love the Exploring Monastic Life program. And it kind of settled me down into my own life here with a renewed commitment and a renewed self-confidence that I'm doing the right thing. And then the third is the power of joy. And Lama Tsongkhapa says that when we consistently act according to bodhicitta, this is the power that arises. And in Tibet Buddhism, they use these beautiful analogies, and sometimes they're very, very funny regarding animals, whether it's the the wild donkey with the man with no legs running helter-skelter down the road. Or this one here is the elephant scorched by the noonday sun, plunges into a cool pool of water. So it is that a bodhisattva plunges into virtuous activity with a lot of joyous energy. I love elephants, folks. They're one of my favorite persons on the planet. So maybe it's not quite like that for us yet. We're not plunging into our virtuous activity. Sometimes we're going in a little bit kicking and screaming. I'd rather be doing something else. It's too hard. It takes too long. But can't you get a sense? I mean, just look at the picture of this, of an elephant that has been traveling. They can go for days and days without needing any water. Never complaining, not turning around in the high African savanna somewhere and coming upon an oasis with their tribe and plunging into that pool with their trunks up in the air, bugling or trumping, and then covering themselves with water and showering their kids and their family and just covering themselves with this cool water. It's that kind of mind when you think about virtue. And that's how bodhisattvas think about when they're doing virtuous activity and what that mind would be like. And I aspire, I hope to never be an elephant, but I would love to have that kind of thinking or that kind of joyous abandon. And I think that we plunged into exploring monastic life in the ordination ceremony. I think we did pretty darn well, and I think we went pretty darn deep. And I think we did shower ourselves with the coolness of bodhicitta. I really do think that that was a very palpable sense for me. One of the things that's really lovely about the power of joy, and this is something that I have to work on, that it is not impatient about getting to the goal. All right already, come on, what are we waiting for? I want to get to the goal. That is not the power of joy. That is actually the process of creating the causes for awakening that brings the bodhisattvas to this beautiful abandonment of joy. They just can't get enough of it, is the causes. So they're totally into the groove of the stream. The goal has already been set out there. They have total confidence they're going to get there. And it's all about the process. So there's none of this, chomping at the bit. They know they're heading in the right direction. And so Shantideva says, although worldly people work in order to be happy, it's uncertain whether or not they will find it. But how can those whose work itself is a joy find happiness unless they do it? So we want to create the causes for our awakening. We have to find the work, the service, the activities, the endeavors in our life that are going to bring us that kind of attainment, that kind of goal. And that I think this state of mind was evident in the community and in our friends. I mean, the whole idea about coming and living with the Sangha to train our minds so we can fulfill our potential of wisdom, compassion, and love. And how can one not be joyful as we see each other grow? And let go of the jealousy, the comparative mind, but to have gladness in their mind, not only for our own virtue, but for the creation of others' virtue. I mean, that was also something that I saw people's faces just lighting up when the request came, and the shaving of the head, and the skits, and the group discussions, just really rejoicing in each other's growing wisdom and insight and transparency. And then last but not least, the power of rest. I've had to, work with this and redefine this, and I think the community, all of us, I think, work with this. But this one is really, the main purpose of it is to maintain a balanced and happy body and mind. And it's not just to keep our own selves balanced, that the body in good health, the mind in good health, but in order to have the mental and physical health and vigor to be able to benefit sentient beings for the long haul. So once again, this is not just about us. We're included in the realm of sentient beings. But this is kind of the need for the sustainability, not just the steadfastness, but the rest is very, very important. So we have done a month of extraordinary virtuous activity, and we certainly get a well-earned rest. Not go to the beach, not take a long vacation, but I know that maybe the first 3 days after the activity, I went to bed right after practice. I got into bed early. We have a flex day tomorrow. Good day to just really refresh and recharge ourselves. And it is because the wisdom of this particular power is that if we manage our physical and mental energy levels appropriately, and this is going to be different for everybody, there is a sustaining quality. So the rest time becomes a sustaining thing. It's not like we wait until we get fried and then we have to go to bed for a few days. The whole purpose of the power of rest is to be able to keep the continuity of joyous effort going before we become totally drained of joy. And then it's just a whole lot of effort, of which I know a lot about. So the more that I thought about this power of rest is that it has a very important wisdom to it. There is a mental approach to this. That is, we need this wisdom to know how to practice and offer service without the shoulds and the have tos and the pushings. Because we're either attached to our reputation or attached to, like me, the identity of the one who gets things done. Because that tiredness that comes from that kind of motivation has already forgotten the virtue. And not only are we tired physically, but we have a mental tiredness. And I don't have a great attitude when my tiredness comes from pushing, from shoulding, from obligating myself and trying to hold up to some sort of construct I have about who Semke is in relationship to creating virtue. So as Venerable has said over and over again, ad nauseum over the years, it's all about balance. She says, I want balanced, holistic human beings in the community. And that's learning a lot, at least for me, trial and error. I've hit a few walls in my time here. And one of the most important things, kind of at the end of this, the four powers, is to always rejoice and dedicate the merit we have created. When I remember to do this, and we keep doing this during the course of the day, I find out that that helps me to sustain my joyous effort. If I forget to dedicate, if I just go on to the next task, or I go to bed, or I switch gears, and I don't dedicate or rejoice in the virtue, I'm shortchanging myself on the ability to sustain myself for the long haul in a joyful way. So I think they're easy practices to do, but we need to remember to do them. And it also protects the merit for the long-term goal of awakening. So may we be able to sustain our joyous effort through these four powers, not just individually, but as a community. And for everybody who comes to the community, may we be able to help them also cultivate joyous effort for the long haul.